Let's bring in, this is going to be a fun one. The chat's already filling up. OJ, lose Lazarus. Ryder, you just said Mickey Mouse. Rusty's booing Johnny.
Oh, no.
There he is. Jonny
Canucks in
Lazarus.
9, boys. Canucks in 9.
Oh, my goodness.
Johnny, we had a lot of fun naming you the first and potentially only donkey of the day in Oilers Nation everyday history. So I hope
it's an honor, honestly. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But coming out of that now, you had the lose. I guess I'll just give you the floor to defend your take a little bit to our listeners who are all over you right now.
Okay. Did you get that it was a joke the whole time, the sarcasm behind it, or no?
I don't know
Because Vic did me dirty on the clip, but I went on to say after 2 years ago when the Rangers had gotten to the conference final, they played 2 backup goalies, one for Pittsburgh, one for Carolina. They knocked Crosby out in game 5 and 6 with a big Trouba hit. And everyone said, had Crosby not been hurt, had the Rangers played a real goalie, they wouldn't have gone to the conference final. It was a fluky run. That's what they called it. So I took that and brought it into the Oilers by saying, if Brock Besser's playing and if Demko's healthy, do the Oilers get through? It was all one big thing to get back to the Rangers, but it kind of went over everyone's head, and that's my fault. But I still, Tyler, I was rooting for the Oilers, but I will happily still be the donkey of the day, and my jokes just got to be better. It's on me.
Your Rangers get going in the Eastern Conference final tonight. I was talking with Colby today on DFO.
I just hung up on him. I think he's pissing me.
Well, that happens with him. But from a league standpoint, even just from an entertainment standpoint, they got to be hoping for Edmonton Rangers in the final here, right? Like, that is infinitely better TV rating wise, public interest wise. That is miles better than a Dallas Florida final.
I mean, I would think so. It seems automatic to me. And, I feel like there are some storylines that go into it, maybe some history. You look at Messier and Gretzky, obviously, those are some that stick out. ESPN has the rights for the final in the United States, so Messier would be in the studio for that series, which would be really cool. But obviously, it's the best player in the world going up against what is arguably the biggest market right now that's remaining of the 4. And I'm not trying to knock Edmonton, Dallas, or Florida, but let's face it, New York City and the New York Rangers are a huge market in sports, not only hockey, but in almost everything. So I think from a ratings perspective, everyone would be rooting for Edmonton versus New York. But I think Dallas, Florida would be a great on-ice product as well, right? Like, that'd be a fun series. So I don't want to knock on those 2 teams, but I'd have to imagine anyone who doesn't have a rooting interest in the 4 would be leaning towards Rangers Edmonton. And I actually did have Rangers Edmonton in my bracket.
So did I. Tyler Mulick said best player in one of the most iconic buildings.
Exactly.
And 100%. But we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Your Rangers kick off game 1 against the Panthers tonight. How are you feeling heading into this one? What are some of the areas where you think the Rangers have the edge? What are some areas that maybe scare you?
I feel really good, to be honest. I think when you look at both sides, just like the last round, the Rangers power play is probably the thing that separates them, right? You look at the numbers right there on the screen, beautifully done by the production team. The Rangers 31.4%, Florida 22% right now in the power play. At 5-on-5, I think both teams are somewhat similar. They both have top-end talent. Florida guys like Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Reinhart, Alexander Barkov, obviously, who's one of the best players remaining in the playoffs. And on the Rangers side, you got Trocheck, Zibanejad, Kreider, Panarin, obviously. So, there's some really talented players in this series. I didn't even mention Carter Verhage, who's become one of the most clutch guys in all the playoffs, and Montour on the back end, Fox on the back end. There's so many different characters, I feel like, in this series too. But the one area that concerns me the most is Florida on their forecheck. You saw the Rangers struggle a bit to go back for pucks and break it out cleanly. Florida, while they do forecheck almost as aggressively as Carolina, they're definitely way more heavy. You feel the presence of Tkachuk and Bennett and Lomberg and Cousins, like when those guys are coming at you when you are a defenseman going to get the puck back. So you got to hope the Rangers are a little bit clean when they go to break the puck out. But you guys know as good as me, the goaltending probably cancels each other out. The 5-on-5 somewhat even. It's all going to come down to, in my opinion, the power play. Florida's like 1 for their last 13. So hopefully for the Panthers fans, they can adjust from the time off and go over their power play and go over the Rangers' tendencies and use the video to understand their opponent. And for the Rangers, the same thing. I think they come out tonight, and just like they did in game 1 against Carolina, they knew exactly what to expect from Carolina's PK, and they exploited it, scoring 2 goals in 23 seconds.
Yeah, I think another interesting matchup for this one is obviously between the pipes as
Yep.
well. Bobrovsky's numbers they look down, but then you go kind of game by game, and it's like, he kind of got cratered by like a couple of tough ones against the Lightning, especially in that elimination game when the Bolts kind of got to him a little bit. Against Boston, he was absolutely lights out. But I mean, the guy on the other side, Igor Shesterkin, what have you made of him so far in these playoffs? And would it be fair to say he has more steal the game potential than Bob?
Even though I want to be biased, I feel like Bob has it too. We've seen it, right? But Tyler, it's a good point you make though, because the save percentage numbers, I think they're a little bit skewed just because Shesterkin was probably facing twice as many shots in the last round than Bob was, right? Like Igor, was seeing 40 pucks a night against Carolina for the most part. Bob probably seeing 20 against Boston. So the save percentage number to me is always like a little bit skewed, just because of that reason. Like the teams in front of them, you can't really tell, I guess, how much they're seeing. But also to Igor's credit, like, I don't know if you guys pay attention to it, but that goal save above expected number, Igor is, light years ahead of Bob right now. Igor's at a plus 8.8, Bob's at a plus 2.6. So, that means, to Tyler's point, that Igor does have that stealing a game ability when you're saving, north of 8 goals that should have gone in. But yeah, I think this goaltending battle is going to be incredible. And it won't surprise me if Bob steals one, but I think people would be less surprised if Igor does, to the point you made, Tyler.
Is there someone on this Rangers team that you think needs to step up a little bit more in this finals?
I mean, I think the easy guy to say right now is Adam Fox, just because, we're so used to seeing him be honestly a point per game as a defenseman. Right now, he's got 4 assists in 10 games, hasn't scored yet, but I think it's pretty noticeable that he's not at 100%, maybe even not at like 70%. And that said, he's still not a liability. He's just not playing up to what we usually see from him. So I would say Fox is that guy you can look at. But other guys as well, like, Tyler, I'm sure you saw this one coming, but Alexis Lafreniere, to me, he was, but laugh all you want. He was a difference maker in that series. 4 goals in 3 games, most of them even strength. Like, he scored some big time goals. And, I know you guys know my history with gassing him up on the show, and Colby's probably throwing up right now if he's listening to this, but yeah, I think he's another guy too.
Yeah. Hey,
who do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I've been really impressed. I think Vinny Trocheck's been unbelievable for this Rangers team. Like, man, I told Colby, because he was talking a little bit about how, the Panthers have these big bodies that can come and just hammer you and play big, heavy hockey. But when I look at this Rangers team, I see guys like Trocheck and Kreider who, I mean, maybe they're 6 feet, but they play like they're 6'5",
Yeah.
What have you been Roslovic? I'm asking about Roslovic, Liam.
Sorry. Come on, Liam, hit me.
Do you want me to ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Where's Rempe? Johnny, I have this thing where I literally don't watch any other team but the Oilers, so you're just educating me right now.
Hey, that's loyal to the Oil if I've ever heard it.
I bleed orange and blue, Johnny. But where is Rempe?
Like physically right now?
Well, both. What is he up to? What are his daily habits? And also, why is he not playing?
He's big into fantasy books, from what I understand. Talking to him the other day, Chris Kreider's given him a lot of recommendations, but he's not in the lineup tonight. That doesn't mean I think we won't see him in game 2. I am a Rempe guy. I think his presence is always felt, especially in the building, like on home ice. It is a weapon that the Rangers have. You can just send him out there for a face-off, and the fans will act as if he just scored the game-winning goal. Like, it's insane. But it's real, and it's there. So depending on how the emotions go tonight in game 1, you can expect to maybe see him in game 2, just to be that extra, little FU, right? You can curse on this show, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like Rempe brings that little fuck you, right? Like that Florida has a ton of. Not that the Rangers don't have it, but Florida, I think if there's one team in the NHL that plays with that like chip on their shoulder, fuck you kind of attitude, it's the Florida Panthers. So if the Rangers need more of that, who else than Matt Rempe are you putting in?
Yeah, that's fair. What's your prediction for this one? Rangers and how many?
Rangers in 7.
Rangers in 7. What's your prediction out west?
My official pick is Dallas in 6, but on this show I'll say Oilers in 7.
You're a smart man, Johnny.
I mean, guys, like, let's be real though. How can you bet against Dallas right now? Like, as I'm rooting for Edmonton, don't get me wrong, but I just don't see how you can count them out.
Yeah, like, I mean, you look forward group much deeper. Obviously, Edmonton with the star power. I think a big X factor is just going to be McDavid. He was at 70, 80%, it looked like, in that series against the Vancouver Canucks. If you get McDavid into 110% video game mode, the level no one else can reach, he'll steal you a game or two, even if you don't deserve it. But I think goaltending leads you obviously leaning hard to Dallas. The blue line leads you leaning hard to Dallas. There's a lot of key areas that leave you leaning very hard to Dallas in this one. So I don't disagree with people who are picking Dallas, but I also look, red hot power play can win you a series. Stuart Skinner obviously, struggled mightily in these playoffs, but he was good in the regular season. You need a bounce back from Stu. You need good special teams, but I think they're both going to go deep. I'm placing a little money over on Betway at both series to go 7.
Before you kick me off, can I leave you with a donkey of the day thought?
Sure.
Go ahead.
If this series goes 7 games, is it a win-win for the Oilers?
No, it's up or bust time in Edmonton.
Kind of fair, though. It's kind of fair.
It made us think. I'll give you that one.
Tyler's face was way different than when I asked him if it was a lose-lose.
Fair enough. Enjoy game 1, Johnny. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you, guys. Rooting for you tomorrow night.
See you later.
There you go. Jonny Lazarus, Morning Cuppa Hockey, Daily Faceoff. He's all over the place. Find him on Twitter, JLazzy. What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.